Welcome to the 14th episode of Byte-Sized JavaScript. This episode will be slightly different from the former ones because I got my laptop stolen. And with my laptop I also lost the source code and the video recordings of the next couple of episodes. So it will take some time for me to recover the damage and to recreate the source code and the recordings. And in the meantime I didn't want to leave you without anything, so here I am. And I have learned my lessons from this incident. For instance, the reason I have lost my work was due to the fact that I haven't backed it up to the cloud. When you don't back up your data to an external server or to an external service, it is constantly at risk of being lost. Your device might be stolen, as it is in my case, or your hard drive might get corrupted, or even the data itself might be overridden by mistake. And these are just a few of the many options where things might go south. So learning my lessons and keeping all these in mind, from this point on, I decided to synchronize anything and everything I'm working on onto the cloud instantly without any delay. Now, when it comes to cloud data backup, there are many solutions to pick from, like for example Dropbox or Amazon Cloud Drive or O Drive or Google Drive or iCloud Drive, to name a few. I use all of those services for different types of reasons. And so far, iCloud Drive has been a solution that worked really well for me, so I'll continue to stick with it. And before I proceed any further, please note that what I'm going to show you is specific to Mac operating systems. However, if you are using a Linux or a PC, the general theme is the same. Make sure that there is zero friction for you to push your work to the cloud, so that it becomes second nature to you and you don't even think about it. That said, I want to talk about a couple of annoying things I find about iCloud. Firstly, there is no easy way to navigate to your iCloud folder from the command line. I mean, you have to open Finder and drag and drop items into your cloud folder, and this sometimes gets in your way, especially if you frequently use the command line. And secondly, there is no desktop shortcut to your cloud folder. So again, you have to launch Finder and navigate to it. Those might be Apple's design decisions, and there are ways to work around them, as we'll see shortly. So for that, I'll first create a folder in my iCloud Drive where from now on I'm going to store all my work, and let's call it iCloud Documents, for instance. Then I'll press Option and Command keys together and drag this folder from my path bar to the desktop while still keeping the Option and the Command keys pressed, and then drop the folder to the desktop while still keeping the Option and the Command keys pressed. This gesture will create an alias to that folder on my desktop. So now we have a shortcut to a cloud document on our desktop. And when we go to my desktop from the terminal, I can list its content and see that my shortcut is there. So can I navigate to it from the command line? It looks like it's still not possible to go to the cloud folder from the command line, because what we created is not a symlink, it is just an alias. And aliases in Mac require Finder integration to work. You cannot navigate to an alias from the command line, you need to actually click on the icon and open it on Finder to make it work. So if you don't use the command line too often, that's a good enough solution. Yet we can do better than that. For that, we'll first cd into this folder, which is exactly where Apple stores your cloud documents. Since we have located our cloud folder, now we can create a symbolic link to the cloud folder on our desktop. For this, we'll type ln-s, S for symbolic link, and the full path to our cloud folder, and then the full path to our alias folder on the desktop. And now I have a shortcut to the cloud on my desktop. Let's see if we can navigate to it from the command line. And it looks like we can. So from my desktop I can cd into my cloud folder, I can create a dummy file inside it, and when I use Finder, I can locate the file that I just created in my cloud documents. So that's perfect. Since this shortcut works better than the other one, I'll just delete the older one. Oh, one more tip. In order to change the default prompt of the terminal to something else, like a nifty little arrow key as you see here, all you have to do is to edit your .bash_profile file inside your user folder. If there is no such file, you can just create a blank one and then add this line to it, as in export ps1 equals your new prompt. And this way you can personalize your prompts, and also you can save some horizontal space in your terminal windows. So I'll create a projects folder in my cloud drive and I'll continue my work there. I'll also create a recordings folder in my cloud synchronized workspace, and I'll save the screencast of this episode as soon as I'm working on it. And as you see, the file is being synchronized to the cloud already, and I'll be able to retrieve it later no matter what happens to my physical device. And if you are using macOS Sierra or a later version, this is much easier since Sierra can store everything you have on your desktop and on your documents folder directly to the cloud. To show this, let's create a dummy file on the desktop by touching hello.txt, and as you see, it's magically being uploaded to the cloud while I'm still working on it. So for macOS Sierra, I can just create a projects folder on my desktop and save all my work inside that folder, and I'll be good to go. And that's the end of this episode. To sum up, in this episode we have learned why saving our work to the cloud can be important. We have also learned how we can create an alias on a Mac environment by simply dragging and dropping a folder while holding Ctrl and Option keys. And we have also learned how we can programmatically create a symbolic link to a folder, which works much better than the alias version because you can navigate to that folder from the terminal. And we have also seen that we don't need to create a symbolic link to the desktop in macOS Sierra because the desktop is already being synchronized to the cloud in that operating system. That being said, symbolic links is a useful operating system feature to keep in your bag of tricks, which might come handy from time to time. For instance, I regularly use symlinks to create shortcuts to folders that are otherwise harder to navigate to or harder to remember. And you can use symbolic links not only in macOS but also in Windows and Linux environments, so they almost work everywhere. So coming up next, we'll be back on track and we'll continue to work on the YouTube Data API from where we left off. So until then, be safe, don't leave your personal items unattended, back up your stuff to the cloud as soon as possible, and as always, may the source be with you.